Audio in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Degenerates Clubhouse, Mondo.
Welcome.
What do we get on tap for today?
Today is episode 116. Oh, I forgot your rule. I forgot your rule. You never want to announce.
It's not even a rule. That wasn't what I asked. I didn't ask what episode. If I said, Mondo, what episode is it? And you're like, it's 116. That would be an answer to what I asked. I said, what do we have on tap today? It's okay. Don't hurt yourself. I'll help you. I got you. Don't worry about it.
So we definitely don't have a binge or purge lined up because, as you all remember, Last of Us last week had 2 episodes released. So this week we have not one to review. So we're going to fill it in with something else.
That would have been the perfect answer if I was like, Mondo, what aren't we doing today? You could have told them that we weren't doing that. I got it. It's okay. I didn't think this would be this complicated. We've got deal breakers. We haven't done those for a while. And they're going to be post-apocalyptic deal breakers.
Hopefully.
We're going to do a Florida man. Haven't done that in actually, I think, a couple episodes. Actually, it's a Florida woman. The article itself, very suspect, but it was just so weird that I figured we'd do that and then close up with a little bit of AskReddit. Answer some of Reddit's most pressing questions. So on that note, Mondo, do you have a deal breaker for me?
We do. Deal breaker question numero uno, because we got to do some mixing some Spanish here and there.
Yes, if she spoke Spanish in the apocalypse to me, that would be a deal breaker. I'm like, nope, English only in the apocalypse. I'm sorry.
We're sprinkling in
or Japanese.
Español con Armando in this deal breakers. Deal breaker question number 1. She has weird growths on both her feet that resemble fungus.
Well, are we in the world of The Last of Us?
Maybe.
Well, I mean but like, is there a fungal-based plague that has wiped out like most of humanity?
Let's just say for this one, no. Let's just say for this one, there is no plague. This is just, there's reality, but that she's got like it looks almost like mold growing on her.
Okay, will she let me cut her feet off?
No.
So I'm like, we need to amputate. We'll make really cool prosthetics out of some like steampunk technology, and she's like, no, you can't cut my feet off.
Yeah. No, she says no.
Well, I then it's not on me. I think I'm making a completely reasonable request to cut her feet off. She says no. And it seems like we can't find common ground. We're at an impasse. It's a deal breaker. I tried to meet her halfway
by cutting her feet off.
Yeah, and she would have had a really hard time meeting me halfway because afterwards she couldn't walk very well.
Yeah.
But she could have, and she chose not to. So that's on her.
Dumb fungus feet girl.
Mine is also. This doesn't have to necessarily be The Last of Us, but say there was some sort of plague. Whether it was a virus or something. Super COVID comes out. So she always wears a mask, and not just a mask, a gas mask.
So it's not like a COVID one; it's like a
full blown like
face.
Yeah, I think the COVID one make it a little bit easier to make it work.
There's porn with girls wearing that shit, the COVID masks. I was like,
wait,
what?
COVID masks? Why?
Those like cloth ones. It's like the hospital style ones, and yeah, there's porn with chicks wearing that for whatever fucking reason. It's like you're getting some dude's jizz all over you, but you don't want to breathe in.
No, that's just a great hack for the actresses to be in porn but not be recognized.
That's true. Going back to your question,
she always wears a gas mask, like with the 2 big like spherical filters.
Does she remove it during sexy time?
No, that's her favorite time. She
likes to wear it.
Yeah, she's that close. You're breathing right in her face. She needs the gas mask. Obviously.
No, I wouldn't be cool with that. She's got to be able to at least remove it when we do the relations.
Okay, what if it was a COVID mask and she was one of the actresses from the film that you were talking about?
No, I wouldn't bang a porn star chick
in the apocalypse. I mean, that's just hustle. I don't even know how the porn industry is still going in the apocalypse, but would you be shocked if it was?
If porn still existed in like post-apocalyptic time?
Yeah,
how would they distribute porn though? There's no internet.
I mean, porn will find a way, Mondo. If I recall, that was the main quote from Jurassic Park. They're like, how have the dinosaurs done that? And they're like, porn will find a way.
Yeah. Would it be just like amateur porn? All of it would just be amateur porn, I imagine. It'd just be shot on shitty cameras.
It's like instead of distributed, it's like theater now. It's like live performances.
Oh damn. No. All right, so my question to you, sir. She claims her blood can cure cancer.
Okay.
She really believes her blood cures cancer. Like she's like, hey, my blood cures cancer.
Okay.
You be good with that?
I mean, what's the downside for me?
I mean, she's probably a little nutty if she thinks
do I have cancer and
No.
she's like, don't get cancer treatment, use my blood?
No. She just thinks her blood can cure cancer. You don't have cancer in this scenario.
I mean, she like, you know what? She saw her entire family like killed by a roving gang of like Mad Max style bikers. And like, that's her one weird quirk. First, whatever. Sure, your blood can cure cancer.
All right.
Like, and it's not like, here's the other thing. It's the apocalypse. It's not like we have a kid and the kid gets cancer and she's like, oh no, let's get these readily available cancer medications at the top-notch hospital. And no, we can't do that. Let's use my blood. There's just, I see no downside to this.
Okay.
I'm glad you believe that. You this gives you some self-worth and makes you feel important. Your blood can cure cancer.
Nice.
My semen can cure throat cancer.
Oh,
just to be no. If we're both curing cancer, and just to be safe, we have to do at least like bi-weekly treatments,
two times a week
at least.
Okay.
For safety, for medicine,
Mondo. Yeah. It's like twice a week medication.
Yeah. Okay. This is a more like almost like Terminator-esque apocalypse.
Okay.
And she's lost her right arm and her left leg, and they've been replaced by like highly mechanized bionic arms and legs. And she's like super strong. They're way more functional.
Does she have like, how like the Terminator has the skin over her metal frame,
the metallic stuff?
So it's just metal, just straight up.
They've invented like mechanical prosthetics. They haven't invented fake skin yet.
No, if she had the fake stuff over it, like the Terminator in the movies, then yeah. But if she's just a full on metal like exoskeleton shit, like I don't know. Again, it would interfere with the sexy times, I think. she jerks you with the arm with the missing limb, and your dick she like squeezes too hard and breaks your dick off or something.
Wouldn't that add a certain amount of thrill and excitement?
I don't know. It's fucking loaded gun with my dick in her robotic hand. I'm pretty good. I'll pass on that.
All right. You're missing out on the cyborg HJ.
Yeah,
it's on you.
Or that, or again, she squeezes too hard or breaks my dick off jacking it. Anyway, question number 3. She's a full-blown survivalist and has an underground bunker with an armory, like a ton of guns, canned foods, like a water purification system, all this shit, all underground.
We're in the apocalypse, right?
No, we're in current times, but she has all this stuff.
Oh, the apocalypse hasn't happened.
Has not happened.
Doesn't appear like it's going to happen.
You're none the wiser.
Okay, so we're not in current times. We're in an alternate reality where it doesn't look like the apocalypse is going to happen. Got it. And she's just got all this stuff. Like where is she living? She's
here in Colorado, but she's got like some cabin out in the middle of the booty somewhere.
In the mountains?
Yeah, sure.
Lots of good. What like is she? It's a little trickier. I mean, that does speak to a certain like manic. How nice is the bunker? That's what I mean.
It's pretty. It's not like high tech, state of the art, like sci-fi movie shit. But it's like the one we've seen in The Last of Us, like Bill's bunker, where it's like there's cameras and shit like that, but it's all kind of like low budget. She's obviously like got this stuff, most of it from like Home Depot.
Does she have a mortgage on the bunker?
No, it's all paid off.
Oh, so
but the mortgage doesn't matter.
No, it matters.
Okay,
because
no,
it definitely matters.
Let's just say that mortgage is all part of her existing mortgage.
No, because there's a house on the property too, right? And then the bunker.
Yeah.
Yes or no? Does she own the house and the bunker free and clear?
Sure.
then yeah, I'm in.
Like,
that was the line.
Like if you owe money on it, fuck you, I'm out. But if if you own it, cool.
Yeah, no, I'm not, because look, we get together, we we have a long-term future. I'm not making payments on your fucking bunker.
There's been a contest for like the past month or 2 months. It pops up on my social media. It pops up on my Instagram and my Facebook, whatever.
Mhm.
It's like this house in Morrison. HGTV is giving it away. It's like a $2.7 million house in Morrison. Fat pad. They give you $100,000 money in like a Jeep, some kind. Anyway, I've been entering it.
Good luck.
Trying to win it. But it just, if I won that contest, I wouldn't be able to keep it. The taxes on it would probably be way too much. I'd have to sell it. But here's the wishful thinking.
That's right. So many people in The Price is Right get fucked up because they get all that stuff, and then you have to pay tax on all of it, and they can't afford any of it. They just have to give it back.
Yeah. That's why you just sell it right away.
That's why I don't trust Barb Barker.
No.
And I'm still kind of horrified that we listened to him and finally neutered our dog.
So her mortgage is paid off, and you're cool with it.
Yeah, I'm in.
All right.
I'm getting in that bunker, Mondo. I'm getting deep in it. Okay. What if this? So we are in the apocalypse now.
Okay.
And she is really obsessed with going back in time so she can prevent the apocalypse from happening. And you're trying to explain to her, like, I don't think time travel is a real thing. She's like, no, if we can break into this like high tech lab, then we can steal the such and such capacitor. And you're like, I don't really think you can travel back in time. Like, let's maybe focus on.
But she's
like, that's her thing.
She's convinced that there's a way to transport back in time and all that shit.
Yeah, and she's not going to stop.
She's a fucking Sarah Connor. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, Sarah Connor didn't go back in time,
didn't she? There's like so many Terminator movies. I forget what the fuck's like real, what hasn't happened, what has happened. Anyway, no, if she's got like some like crazy delusion like that, and it is post-apocalyptic.
I mean, her heart's times, really in the right place, Mondo.
The point is, I'm more concerned about survival in my day-to-day and not like her fucking urge to like go back in time or some shit like that. No, thank you. Crazy fucking bitch.
And then turns out she was right. She goes back. And you're like, fuck, I could have been with the savior of humanity.
Fucking time travel bullshit. Anyway, she claims she knows when the last day on Earth will be. Like, she knows.
Okay, when does she think it is?
She won't tell you. She just want to tell you because she just want to ruin it for you. But otherwise, she just wants to live her day. She wants to live her days, with you in peace and whatever. But she's not. She just want to like fucking scare you.
So that's a proceed cautiously.
Yeah.
Right. Because here's the thing: if she's like, "Oh, it's 100 years from now," cool, or whatever, it does not affect us at all. No big deal. If she's like, "Oh, it's a month from now,"
how about this? It's in your lifetime. She knows it's going to happen within yours and hers lifetime.
Yeah, but again, is it 30 years in the future where you can kind of just kick that can down the road for a while, or is it in the near future where this belief is going to cause some weird consequences, for me?
Okay, I get you.
Because that's the problem. It's like it's. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I believe you. And the world's gonna end. And then she's like, it's next month, and we've got to. It's going to be horrible. So we have to end our own lives like Bill and Frank before. I'm like, no, well, and you know what? And here's the thing, Mondo. If that was it, I might be like, okay, all right, like I'm down. Yeah, you drink the
Kool-Aid.
poison wine, and look, I'm drinking it. Oh, it's still down my cheek.
All right.
I don't know. I think what, Mondo. Again, it's the apocalypse. I mean, I think everyone's got some baggage. If it's like the weird foot fungus thing that could infect me, no, fuck it, I'm out. If it's like some kind of quirky beliefs that don't really have a ton of consequence attached, you know what? You believe what you want to, huh?
All right.
You got your underground bunker. You know what was the first one you asked where I was just like, yeah, who cares?
She has. She says her blood can cure cancer.
Oh yeah, awesome. Yeah. It could be the same one woman, Mondo. She could be like, my blood cures cancer, and I know when the world is gonna end. I'm like, that's great, sweetheart. Good for you. I support you. Last one.
No, we still have two more.
Next to last one. you ask her, you're trying to ask her about how many people she slept with, right? Probably not the most tactful thing to bring up, but it's the apocalypse. There's weird diseases out there. So you're like, hey, like what's your body count? And then she just starts going into graphic detail about all the people she's killed.
Oh, instead of like you're trying to figure out how many people she's banged, but she thinks how many people she's killed. She misinterprets her question.
And it becomes she's killed a lot of people.
Like
pretty brutally.
Like are we talking like in the dozens, or are we talking about like in the hundreds?
You want an exact number? It's like you get like past 40 and you're like, oh, I don't know if you want. I don't think you ever really find out, because she's really like explaining every kill and like how she did it, and
they're all gruesome and brutal.
They're pretty brutal. They're pretty brutal murders, and the actual number is like in the 50s. They're not all like unjustified. She's not like a serial like murder, like seeking these people out, but it's like, well, we got ambushed, and then I had to send a message for them, so I cut off all of his fingers and like set his head back so they wouldn't fuck with us. It was
I would figure someone that's killed that many people has like that,
really hardcore,
has like that, like they say the military, like that 1,000-yard stare. I figure someone that's killed that many people probably like her nothing again, but her wavelength, her mindset is a little different, and I would be afraid to like teeter her, like push her off the edge a little bit, and maybe for her to go fucking psycho on me. So
no, again, I told you though, these aren't like killings that she sought out. This is her just trying to survive in the apocalypse, and more often than not, she's just not in a great situation. She just had a kill.
Well, like I said, I'd be worried.
So sexist, Mondo. If it had been a guy who was killing to stay alive, you wouldn't judge him. This is a double standard.
Nothing to do with woman, man. It would just be like, hey, you're fucking
double standard
crazy
on body counts.
Yeah. Okay. So the last question from me. She's part of an underground militia who plans to overthrow. Now, this isn't post-apocalyptic. This is like.
Oh, this is now. No,
this
I'm
is
out.
a chick. This is
I'm
a
out.
chick.
I'm out. Fuck that. I'm out.
She plans to overthrow the government. No.
Nope. I'm out.
She likes to wear the buffalo.
I'm out.
Hat.
No, you didn't even like post-apocalyptic. That one is even a little bit dicey. But now, no, fuck that. Yeah. Like it's not gonna go well, and I'm not trying to end up in jail.
All right.
We'll ultimately this whole thing of like we can overthrow the government, or it's like that's great. You have your like little assault rifles and your cache of weapons. It's like they have tanks and stealth bombers, motherfucker. Like you're not winning. No, it's not gonna happen. Yeah, but if we sneak into the facility and we place strategically, depth charges in it, no, you're going to jail.
All right,
not going with you.
What's your last question for?
Mine was actually very similar. We're on the same wavelength. This in mine, it is the apocalypse. And I just said her father is the leader of the resistance. I don't know I haven't really fleshed out this world completely. You can figure out the parameters yourself, but like she that's not really her bag, but her dad, he's the leader of the resistance.
But we are in post-apocalyptic time, and shit's fucking hitting the fan. And is there like a crazy government like Fedra, or is a government like our government where they're not upfront with doing the shitty shit that they do?
You can set your parameters, like I said.
I mean, I think I'd be okay with. I'd want to be close to people that would I could roll with, that would otherwise provide like some kind of protection. I wouldn't have to roll solo.
So it sounds like you want the girl from the last scenario who killed all the people to protect you.
No, not her. I don't want fucking a one-man army. I want like, there's a group of normal people that are like, this government is shady and we're here to.
Oh, but she's not in the resistance. It's just her dad.
Is she like opposed to her dad's resistance group, or is she
not a huge fan of it? She's sort of like, I don't know.
Again, if she's opposed to it, and I'm banging her, like whatever. She can roll with it or not. I'm just here. I'm just here. Don't kill me.
What if her dad's not cool with it?
Her dad's not cool with her dating me?
Yeah.
What can you do? You can't do anything.
Yeah, especially when he's got you strung up by your ankles, butt naked, and he's like, "This is what people who cross the resistance get."
No, he's not gonna do that. He likes me. I'll charm him.
Oh, you're gonna. Sorry, I forgot about the legendary Armando Ramirez charm.
Yeah,
My bad.
All right,
I retract that objection.
that was the end of Deal Breakers. We are now moving on to the wonderful world of
Florida man, causing mayhem when he can. Driving drunk as a rule, alligators in his pool. Look out, here comes the Florida man. Oh, yeah!
moving to Florida man. Miami, Florida woman has her graduation picture sold to a stock photo site, and now she's on the cover of an erotic novel titled "His Big Childhood Secret."
Sweetheart.
Yeah, I did read that too fast. I was staring at her big old tits.
Yeah, they're distracting. The other thing I do want to add: this article is on ESPN SouthwestFlorida.com. I'm like, I don't know if this is a real publication.
Yeah,
it seems weird. And by the way, the article itself is a little bit suspect. But I will let you be the judge of its validity as it plays out.
This Miami, Florida woman learned why you should always read the fine print, and now she'll always be connected to an erotic novel titled "His Big Childhood Sweetheart." Christian Demerit of Miami shared her story on TikTok, which all started when she graduated college back in 2010. Fresh off her theater degree, she needed some new headshots, so she met up with a recommended photographer at a park at Bayside. They took pictures and some different tops. She paid him $100, and everything seemed good. She was hoping to use the new pics to find work as an actress. What she didn't do was read the contract all the way through, and there's always some fine print that'll get you. Maybe the fact that he only charged her $100 should have been a red flag. The photographer sold her pictures to a stock image site. If you're not familiar, these sites house millions of pictures of different people in different situations, and then websites just like this one can buy the pictures and do absolutely anything they want to do with them. The picture above, yeah, that's on the Images creative site. I can download the picture, drop it in Photoshop, and do anything I want, and that's how Christian ended up the cover of His Big Childhood Sweetheart.
Whoever's writing this, they're getting a little bit weird about it. They're like, yeah, I can download it and do whatever I want with it. It's like, all right, weirdo. Like, somehow they made explaining the predicament she ended up in even more fucked up than what happened. It's like it felt like a vague threat when I was reading that. Like ESPN Southwest Florida was gonna like do something tawdry with her photos, and by the tone of his writing, maybe he did.
So that's kind of the end of the article. They go into the description and the back cover of the book.
That's the part that cracked me up the most when I'm reading this. It's a very cursory explanation of what happened to this girl who never is named. And then it becomes an advertisement for His Big Childhood Sweetheart.
Yeah,
and like it almost feels like it's a publicity stunt to sell copies of the erotic novel His Big Childhood Sweetheart.
That was the end of the article. They do post a lot of her TikToks where she talks about that, how her image was used.
Oh, you can see the cover.
Yeah, you can see the cover.
This looks like if Tyler Perry was going to make an erotic movie, he would base it on this.
And
wait, before we end, Mondo, we have to read at least a couple of the reviews on Amazon.
Okay.
So this one cracks me up. Not sure you'll like this one. Why were the characters so weak? Why didn't Evelyn punch Jessica in the face when she got both her and her mother fired? I had a serious problem with both Evelyn and Damien not standing up to his family.
It's just trashy romance bullshit, and people get invested
it's
in
an
it.
erotic novel, and they're pissed off about the character development.
What I thought was unusual was that, she's not a very attractive gal, but she's a curvaceous African American, more on the plus size, if anything. Huge, ginormous knockers. So it's like they use the stock photo of like let's say a 6 or a 5 for a publication of a book. That's what kind of was weird to me. They didn't use like a model. Like they clearly have a picture of like this hunky dude with a fucking 8-pack behind her, but the picture of her is just some average plain Jane chick. I don't know.
2 more reviews and let's get out of here.
Okay.
This person loved it. Damien and Evelyn are severely tested. His parents, parentheses mom, that would be parent, but that's okay, wants him to marry anyone other than their maid's daughter.
Oh shit.
He's loved forever. Getting to their HEA, I don't know what an HEA is, makes this book a page turner. Oh, maybe a happy ending? And they wrote, happy reading, 5 stars. Verified purchase.
Yeah, I don't know. People that buy that trashy romance shit, I already question their whatever.
This was the last one that cracked me out. I love the word usage and grammar in these. Headline, awesome. Loved the storyline. Damien and Evelyn are a true Cinderella story. The love they had for each other through surmountable odds is endearing. I hope there's a continuation with this story with Ash. 5 stars. I love the fact that they did not know the difference between surmountable. I don't think is surmountable. Is that even a word? But they obviously meant insurmountable.
Yeah.
And they're like through surmountable odds, and like I guess technically they're right, because if it's insurmountable, then you couldn't overcome them.
Yeah, surmountable. They can overcome them,
and
easily.
And apparently they did, because it got 5 stars.
Dumb. That was it for Florida Man. It was a weird one.
And this episode of the podcast is sponsored by His Big Childhood Sweetheart. Guys, copies available for only $2.99 on Amazon.
Okay, so it's quality. $2.99, $3. If that book sells just one additional copy because of our podcast,
you want some royalties?
I want some royalties. I don't care.
You want a chunk of that $2.99?
Yeah. Send a nickel, send a dime. You owe us some money, motherfuckers.
It's got 109 reviews on Amazon. Like, if I had a book that had 109 reviews on Amazon, I would be ecstatic.
Yeah. So, I mean,
you credit to Samantha Drake, author of His Big Childhood Sweetheart, available on Amazon. I'm just gonna say, for the rest of the time we do this podcast, I'm just gonna at the episode pitch His Big Childhood Sweetheart.
Moving on to AskReddit. Reddit question number 1, sir.
Would you buy a copy of His Big Childhood Sweetheart? Yes, I would, Armando. Next question.
What is the greatest episode of a TV show ever made?
This is tough. I thought of a lot of different possibilities.
Okay.
I think these are the shows that immediately jump to mind. One, do you remember that show House MD with Hugh Laurie?
Yes, I remember it. I didn't ever sit to watch a single episode, but I know what it is. He's like a doctor, right?
Yeah, and it was episodic, because I think part of the tricky thing with this is some shows where you have to have watched like 10 other episodes. It maybe doesn't make the single episode the best. But there were some really great individual episodes of House. That's one of my nominations.
Okay.
2, there is an episode of Community. It was a sitcom about a community college, and it was called Remedial Chaos Theory.
Okay.
Like it was incredible. It was very, very short, 23-minute episode, but it's just playing with the idea of different timelines, and the whole episode starts where they're having a party with the whatever it is, like 6 community college students, and there's a knock at the door from the pizza man, and Jeff Winger is like, hey, let's roll the dice, see who goes and gets the pizza. And then the sort of nerdy, like autistic character goes, Jeff, stop, you're creating 6 different timelines. And he's like, sure you are. But then you go through it, and it's like, them rolling the dice and seeing what would happen if each member of the party, like how things would change if each member of the party left and got the pizza. Great episode. Amazing. There was that. There was Battle of the Bastards. from Game of Thrones.
You can't name a bunch of them. You're supposed to only name one of them.
No, these are just my nominations. And then the Scott Tenorman Must Die from South Park. And then the last one I had, I was trying to think which one would be the best one, but there were a few really, really good episodes of Firefly.
Yeah, there were a lot of good episodes of Firefly. That was a good show.
Those would be mine. And I'm not sure which one I would have to pick if I could only pick one.
My answer for that, I'm trying to find the actual name of the episode. Not that it matters, but anyway, actually, my favorite episode ever from every TV show was the whatever episode. I think it may have been the Battle of the Bastards. Whatever episode it was of the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones.
That was not Battle of the Bastards.
Okay, so it wasn't. Mine has to be that one. And why it's the best one, because anyone that had not read the book, me at that point, you're watching the show, and again, kind of like what we talked about with The Last of Us, they clearly highlight a certain character as probably the central character. And this whole time you're thinking, Robb Stark, his dad gets beheaded in the first season. Obviously, Robb Stark is going to go on the rest of the series, is like our principal hero. And then Red Wedding happens and they fucking kill him. I think everybody watching that episode, again, not having watched or not having read the books, you're completely fucking caught off guard. And yeah, I mean, it was. I think it was one of the most like shocking, highest rated episodes ever for Game of Thrones. I could be wrong. Maybe even TV at the time. I don't know. Maybe.
Could have been. Yeah, that was season 3, and the episode was titled "The Reigns of Castamere." The Battle of the Bastards is when Jon Snow goes God mode and kills Ramsay Bolton after plowing through the entire army, like by himself and somehow living. That was one of the first episodes of Game of Thrones where I'm like, oh, there's plot armor all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So I guess you could detract from that. The Red Wedding episode fucking bummed me out, Armando.
Oh no, I'm not saying it was like, oh my god, this is so great. It was just one of the greatest episodes because of how everyone was so. Everyone watching was so vested, and everyone went through the same kind of mind fuck. It was really like an experiment on like kind of like thought control, mind control. It was, I don't know, it's kind of cool.
When I was trying to pick a Game of Thrones episode, those were the two, The Reigns of Castamere and Battle of the Bastards. And I'm like, my thought process was like, I was so fucking bummed out after that episode. I was like, I'm just gonna go with Battle of the Bastards. I don't like. It was super satisfying to see Ramsay Bolton get fed to the dogs.
Can I also have an honorable mention?
Yeah, I had like 10. Go ahead.
It wasn't really like my best, a really greatest episode ever kind of thing, but it was one that really super stands out to me. It was a episode on the Workaholics called "To Friend a Predator," and in it, comedian Chris D'Elia plays a pedophile.
Oh no, yeah, I remember. I remember this whole thing.
He plays a pedophile who's like into little boys, specifically.
Great casting,
right? He's specifically into underage boys. So it's not like he's he's a normal perv. He's a really twisted perv. Anyway, fast forward to modern times, and Chris D'Elia, he's been flagged at least for having underage some kind of relations with a girl, not a guy, a boy. But does it make it any better? No. Underage, bad boy, bad Chris D'Elia. Anyway, that's why I thought it was one of the ones that stand out for me.
You know what? I'm going with Scott Tenorman Must Die of South Park.
I don't remember that episode.
It was truly fucked up, and it had a surprise ending as well. It was basically there were older kids that were messing with Cartman. I don't know, like 6th graders or whatever, and the whole episode, it's framed like they're so much smarter, and Cartman keeps trying to do these really like feeble attempts to get back at them, and they're seeing right through it. At the end of the episode, it is revealed that this was actually all part of like Cartman's master plot, and the episode ends with you figure out that Cartman basically orchestrated the death of their parents and then fed them their parents' bodies in chili. and you're just like, what the
nice.
It was wild. And you're like, did they just do that?
I'm gonna have to find it and watch it.
What the fuck?
It sounds like a great episode.
It was.
Some of the answers by Redditors on that. User Bloom_Pikayune writes Marge versus the monorail. I don't know if that's
Simpsons for sure.
Probably. Yeah. User Baked Alaska 1 writes What We Do in the Shadows episode On the Run.
Okay.
They parentheses the Jackie Daytona episode. So I guess people that watch that show will know.
I tried watching that show and just couldn't really get into
it. Let's see. A show I have not watched. User Hambone10 writes Chernobyl, the episode Vichnaya Pamyat. Did you watch Chernobyl?
You know, I kind of want to because it's the same people who did The Last of Us.
I heard that Chernobyl was a really well-made show.
Very dark and fucked up.
Yeah.
You would have thought Chernobyl would have been an upbeat show.
Let's see. Last one I'll read. User Guinness for Dinner writes Snake Juice episode of Parks and Rec. I'll have to figure out what episode that is because I did like Parks and Rec. I might have to rewatch that episode, whatever it was. That was it for Reddit question number 1. Reddit question number 2. What's a sign that someone grew up poor? Aaron?
Yeah. I think there's people, and it's weird. My dad has this, and like he didn't even grow up like especially poor, but when people have that real like almost like hoarding mentality,
yeah,
and they're always worried. I mean, he's not hoarding, things like that, but like he gets so worried about like light bulbs being on and like little stuff where it's like, dude, it doesn't matter. He's like, no, but the electricity bill, and I did the math for him at one point. And I was like, we could leave this light bulb on all day, every day for 6 years, or I probably did that for 5 years. And I'm like, it would cost like $7. It's like an LED light bulb. It's one little LED light bulb. Just don't stress. I'll give you the $7.
Yeah, I'm paying in advance.
You just don't have to worry about it for 7 years. And he can't wrap his head around it. He's like, oh, the electricity bill. It's like, dude, that's not where it's. So I think for his case, he didn't grow up especially as poor, but his parents grew up like really, really, really poor. They were like Great Depression era, and I think that kind of passed on to him. So he's got like inherited poor mentality from his parents.
We didn't grow up very. We didn't. My dad was the sole breadwinner of the family. My mom would work here and there part-time jobs that she would never really keep like a job for forever, for the longest time. She had a bunch of just like part-time jobs or being employed. But so anyway, the steady source of income was my dad. And for us, it was like our food. Like our meal, like whatever mom made for dinner or whatever, like we had to eat all of it. There was no fucking throwing anything away. There was no, and it carried over into like when you go into like whenever we did have the money to go out to eat, which is very seldom, but if we went out to eat, we would box up our food and take it home. We weren't throwing anything away. Like we could eat that shit later. Or another thing my dad would always say is like even the idea of going out to eat, my parents would often say, well, we have food at home. Why do you want to go out to eat? Like that was echoed over and over again. Why do you want to go out to eat? We have food at home. Because we're tired of the fucking shit mom makes. We want to try something different. That was always our response. But
it's also the experience, right? It's like
it's all that. But in my dad's, in my mom's mind, it was like, why go out to eat? We have food at home. Or like let's say you're on the road, you're driving, you're thirsty, you go into a convenience store, you buy a fucking a cola or a water, energy drink, whatever.
We've got tap water at home.
Exactly. We would hear shit like that. We're like, why are you buying a soda? We got soda at home. When we were kids, if we had money in our pocket and we wanted to buy some stupid shit at a convenience store, you're like, no, you're not buying the soda. You're not buying a bag of chips. We have food at home. That was always the.
Well, I actually had this conversation with my dad because he gets worried about not even like food consumption. He'll get stressed about the grocery bill.
Yeah.
And I told him, I'm like, one, like, yeah, if you were buying a ton of stuff that we weren't going to eat and then would go bad, like that would be bad. But if it's things that are going to get eaten eventually, and it's like fulfilling. I mean, you know, your hierarchy of needs, right? Like the most basic are like food, water, and shelter, right?
Yeah.
So like food, like if you don't eat food, you just die.
Yeah.
If you eat bad food and it's not nutritious, you have health problems, you have all this other stuff. It's like to get so fixated on like the grocery bill is I don't know how much they spend on groceries, but it's like it's $180 instead of 160. Like we can't. It's like, but if you have the money to pay for it, and it's not food that's going to spoil, and it's like your most basic need, it's kind of a fuck mindset. Like it's not productive.
Yeah.
Just like stressing yourself out.
Yeah. Anyway, it was what kind of a tangent to that question. Did you growing up have any otherwise like poor like habits of like poor people food, like anything? Like I'll give you an example. Example we had is we use white bread. There's a meme about this shit. We use white bread as our sandwich bread, as our hot dog buns, and like hamburger buns. Like our like white bread was, you used it for all of that shit. We used it for French toast. It was like multi-purpose. We use white bread for all kinds of shit.
You're asking if growing up we had like poor people food tendencies,
something like that, like the example I just gave you. Yeah,
I don't know if as much growing up. I remember when I was really young, like 3 and 4 years old, we did eat. I mean, it was like just like a lot of like hot dogs and beans and stuff like that. And I don't know if that's because I was a little kid and that's what they thought I liked to eat, or we didn't have money for other stuff. No, the one that I mean, I didn't run into that until I was older and like out of college. And I had that same thing of like I was trying to live off of a $60 a week food budget. So it was just the one thing I would always get was meat ends.
Yeah, because you can get them for a hell of a lot cheaper.
Yeah, I couldn't afford. I was like, I can't afford fucking deli meat. Holy shit, this stuff's expensive. But yeah, you eat the basically when they're doing the nice deli cuts, there's all the shit at the end that they chop off, so it doesn't look pretty. It's kind of like weirdly shaped, but still meat. I mean, it even kind of tastes the same.
Yeah,
but it's like a fifth of the price.
Yeah,
just getting meat ends.
All right. You answered that question. Yeah, you did. What some of the Redditors answers to that question? User Country T writes, when you can't finish a meal, pulling it apart to at least eat the meat. When you can't finish a meal, pulling it apart to at least eat the meat because that's the expensive part. Oh, get it. So like if you're eating a hamburger and you're like, you eat half of it, you're like full, you're stuffed.
Oh,
my parents would force us to just eat the meat part of it. Like you could throw away the bread, you could throw away the cheese, but the meat was like the expensive part of the burger. So they would make us eat.
You know what? I don't know if this is a poor people thing. I think this is more just me being fucking weird, but I would always eat what I liked in order of what I liked least to most.
I do that now.
So I would start with the stuff I didn't like.
Yeah.
Because the same thing, I'm like, well, yeah, I kind of want to finish it. If I just eat the good stuff, I might not. And I remember my mom though, growing, especially like middle school, high school, she'd be like, you only eat what you want. Like, don't feel like you have to finish it. But I'd always start, because she would notice, she's like, you always start with grains and you go on to like the vegetables and then the meat at the end. I'm like, yeah, I'm just eating what I like least to most.
User Call the Green Man writes, scanning the menu for the cheapest options possible when at a restaurant. It's okay. The soup is really enough for me. Well, we didn't. I don't know. I think. Yeah, I think when even so, I've taken my folks out to dinner. A bunch of times, and I remember, and I don't know if they were doing this, if there was another reason for them doing it, but like they'd almost always like, let's say there was a steak and lobster on the menu or there was chicken, they would always go with chicken. And I'm like, hey, but I'm treating, like, tell my parents, like, I'm buying you dinner. You don't have to go with the cheapest thing. Like, get whatever the fuck you want. Get a bottle of wine. I don't care. They would still go and get like the cheapest thing on the menu. It's just, I'm like, it's my treat. You're not paying it. Splurge. Anyway.
Wait, hold on. I don't know why this just reminded me of this, but this was when I was in college, and I had a credit card where the bill went to my dad for like emergency only, right? Like you're stranded on the side of the road, like what have you. And I can't remember why we were in New York, but this must have been over the summer or a break or something. And my parents and I were in New York and we went out to a nice restaurant, and it was way more than I obviously could have afforded when we were in school. Because at that point my super lucrative porn site had been shut down. And I can't remember why, but like the waiter at the end like brought the bill to me. He's like, "Here you are, sir." And my dad goes, he's like, "Oh, I don't think he can really afford that." And out of the corner of my eye, I see there were these two like really cute girls that had like turned to watch this whole thing unfold. And I was like, no, I've got it. Don't worry. Like, I love you guys and you deserve this. This meal is on me. And I like I give a card to the waiter, and the girls are like, "Oh, it's so sweet."
Yeah.
And then like when we go out, we like leave the restaurant. My dad's like, "Did you pay with the American Express card?" I'm like, "I sure did." And he's like proud of me. That was hilarious.
You look like a pimp. You look baller right there.
I did. I mean, I really didn't maximize the most of that opportunity, but I enjoyed that. We both got a good laugh.
I got actually, this one's not on. This is not a Redditor one. This is another one I just thought of when I was reading other answers and talking about. But like most grocery store, like you're similar to what you're talking about, the end cuts of the meat. So like most grocery stores will have like a discount section, and it'll be shit like where it's like a canned good and the can got dinged up, so it's not pretty.
Yeah.
So they make you sell you that same can of soup for like 10 cents versus like $1.50.
Yeah.
And so when you go to that area first, we have a brother that does that, and which is he's frugal, but he has that habit of like going to that section.
Why not?
And
well, we're just weird about that as a country. That's actually something I've been meaning to do, because we throw away. It's something absurd. It's something like 2/3 of all the food we produce in this country we throw away.
It's stupid
because it's not pretty. But there are places where you can go to buy vegetables, and they're the ones that aren't like aesthetically pleasing.
There's a service. There's a website that does that. They send you a box of food, whatever, groceries. They send you a box of groceries, and you'll know what's in the box, but it'll be like an ear of corn that doesn't look as pretty. You know, it'll be goofy shit like that. But it's like otherwise completely normal food.
Well, and here's the weird thing though. I looked at that service, and because it's probably to fund the people that work at the service, it's actually not that much cheaper than it would be just to buy like the pretty ones. But there's an actual like physical store somewhere in the Denver area you can go to where it's I think it's again just like locally produced stuff that isn't pretty enough to sell to grocery stores, so you can just go buy it. So it's kind of cuts out that like middleman where the costs get bumped up, and I've been meaning to do that.
So there's another hack. Entenmann's here in Colorado has, I think, 3 or 4 different like distribution outlets, and then usually tied to the distribution center will have a small little store where you can buy a loaf of bread for like 25 cents on the dollar, or like anything that Entenmann's make. So like, I'll give you an example. My mom works at a bakery. She's been working at a bakery forever, so she sees this shit all the time. So those prepackaged, like donuts, for example, they're supposed to be 3 chocolate, 4 of the frosted whatever powdered ones, and then like 3 plain. But if for whatever reason that box count is off, so let's say there's, instead of there being 4 chocolate, there's 3 chocolate, and there's 5 powdered ones, that box goes into like a reject area, and then Entenmann's goes in and resells this like otherwise brand new box of donuts that they would sell at the store for like $5-6. You get it for like 50 cents just because the count is off. But nothing wrong with the food.
Cheaper diabetes is always a good thing.
No, so I go to that. There's one by 10 minutes from where I work. So when I'm out about doing my thing, I'll go and buy like a pastry there, like the glazed whatever honey buns, sticky buns that you get like at convenience stores for like $3. You get there for like 25 cents. So I'll get one and I'll drink that with my tea in the morning or whatever here and there. So that's like a poor people hack.
That reminded, this is not a hack. This is an opposite counterproductive hack. This is another thing my dad does where I'm like, dude, what? Why? It doesn't make sense. He will only buy gas at Costco because it's like 2, 3, sometimes 4 cents cheaper.
Yeah.
But I've tried to explain to him, I'm like, look, you gotta, if it takes you an extra 25 minutes to get to Costco than it would to get the normal gas.
Yeah.
And
doesn't make sense.
It's like you're spending more gas to get there, and then you're also spending the time is like is when you subtract what you're paying in gas and then 30 minutes of your time, is it worth like saving 12 cents?
Yeah, what's funny is those Costco ones also, there's almost always not always, but
there's a line.
There's always a line. So you're parked in your car, sitting idle, car running, you're waiting for 30 minutes. Finally you get to fill in your gas. So it's like you defeat the purpose. If you don't, I get what you're saying. I've seen that shit too.
But he will only go to Costco. He gets visibly upset if he's in the car with me and I stop at a regular gas station. He's like, and he wants to. I could see the little gears turning in his head. It's like, Jesus, man, just it's fine. There's a 12-cent difference. Like your time is worth money. It is.
Yeah. We are 50 minutes into the episode and we finished up everything we had originally scheduled for this episode. Was there anything else? We got plenty of time. Is there anything you want to talk about? Anything you wanted to bring up? Aaron, you invited me to a wrestling thing. Well, okay, so you sent me an image on Friday or Thursday of a wrestling event that was here in Denver. My ass didn't pay attention. I saw the date, but I didn't realize it was like, oh, it's tomorrow or whatever day it was. And then I worked yesterday, and Aaron texted me like at 3:30, 4 o'clock. Like, hey, you want to go to this wrestling event? By the time I saw it, it was already started.
Just to remind you, you were the one that suggested we go to it.
I did. 100%. I told Aaron when we were out and about, I was like, hey, dude, I would love to see a jiu-jitsu tournament or a wrestling tournament, any grappling thing, any MMA event that comes to town. I'm in. I'm down. I don't care if it's amateur, pro. I don't give a shit. So he sends me the info. But again, my dumbass was not putting the pieces together. And then by the time I read it and responded to you, the event had already started.
Yeah, it was like an hour into it.
Otherwise, I would have gone. I would have for sure checked it out. I don't care if it's high school, collegiate. It would have been fun to get out of the house and see some live sports.
So if you've never been to a wrestling tournament, it is just a cool atmosphere, because the people there, once you get to the finals, for the most part, it's kind of boring because there's like a lot of matches. Most of the people are either asleep or half asleep. But like the finals, like people are super invested. Like they care way more than you'd normally see in even most sporting events, because it's like their kids or their friends or whatever.
The energy is very high. You for sure have like home crowds or like team, like they're following a certain wrestler, like you said, family members.
Well, and also for a lot of those kids, like that's it. That's the end of, they're not gonna. There's no like professional amateur wrestling. They're not going to go on to do MMA. They're not going to college. Like this is the end of their athletic wrestling career. So there's like a different sort of stake. So it is cool. I wasn't particularly upset because like I've been to many wrestling tournaments.
Yeah.
I was a coach at because I coached for Littleton for a season. So I actually like got to go to the event as a coach and was down on the floor. Our kid did not make the finals. He lost in the semis and was really butthurt about it.
I'd only seen wrestling or like that level wrestling or in high school. One of my uncles is in wrestling, and I think he was a heavyweight. Maybe he was a heavy. He's a big dude. He's like 6'1", 6'2", was a lineman. So I imagine he was a heavyweight. And we had to go to some of his wrestling things. I remember watching, and they were fun. Just the whole rah 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 element of everyone being really into it. That's always a fun environment to be around. And
we'll catch it next year, maybe.
Yeah. No, I was.
We could also go to a dual meet. That would be hilarious.
What's that?
So that's when just two high schools are going in. So it's a dual, like the two high schools going head to head, because those also get intense.
And they got weight classes, right? They got like the
I think now they start like arbitrarily. It used to be when I wrestled, it was rough because you'd start at the lightest weight class and then you would end with heavyweight. So like if you were the heavyweight, you were always going last.
Yeah.
And either no one gave a fuck about your match because you'd already won, or it's like everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I think they just start arbitrarily. Like they'll start at, like 145 and then they'll go up through heavyweight and then finish at 140. But yeah, some of those, I don't know if there's like two teams that are really good in the area, like that could be fun, because then you get all the parents from both teams and they're all super amped up. Not quite as high stakes and Definitely not as good quality wrestling as you'd see like in a state finals match, but it's just its own thing if you've never seen it.
I would have liked that gone, but my brain wasn't.
Yeah.
The cylinders weren't firing. So earlier this week was Valentine's Day, and
Valentine's Day,
and like a couple days before that, one of our Lancer brothers from this guy, pledged like in the 90s, so he was a decade before you and I even attended college. His name is Shoaib Abdul Aziz. He's his wife Liberty had been working for Southwest Airlines as I think a flight attendant. Maybe I could be wrong, but in the airline industry for I don't know, let's just say a decade or so, right? And he had been a physical therapist for the longest time. Decided he wanted to be a flight attendant or a crew member of some kind. Went to the school, went to the training, and so he's been doing that for probably the past couple years. And he hits me up on a Saturday. He's like, "Hey man, I'm coming into town. It happens to be on Valentine's Day. I'm coming to Denver. You want to hang out?" Sweet. So the idea was I was just going to go pick him up from the airport and then take him to a brewery, and it's just going to be him and I drinking beer together on Valentine's Day. But the way it worked out, again, his wife's also a crew member or flight attendant of some kind. Her flight was supposed to go to New Mexico or somewhere, and it got sidetracked because of the weather. So she ended up landing in Denver that same day. So it would have been a bro Valentine's Day date turned into where
Armando Third Wheel.
It was Shoaib, his wife, great people. Shoaib, hands down, one of the nicest, the best people I know. Top 3 best people I know ever had the privilege of knowing as a person. So sweetheart of a man.
You and I are 1 and 2.
No, I don't even make my top 5. I don't even make my top 10, dude. Anyway, so she and then I've never met his wife. We ended up not having any plans for the 3 of us. It was supposed to be me, him at a brewery. Plans we changed. We went around to downtown Denver, and I drove him around in the truck. I picked him up from the airports or from their hotels. Went to downtown, had dinner. Great time. Got to check out a little different part of downtown I've never been to before. But shout out to Shu and Liberty. Thanks for coming into Denver. You guys are awesome. I hope that they threw out the idea, or at least Liberty threw out the idea. She's like, I don't really feel at home. They live in Texas. I don't really feel at home at Texas, but I've always liked Colorado. Like I've been talking to Schweeb about moving out here, blah, blah. And I was like, fuck yes, come out here, move out here. They're great people. It would be great to hang out with them. I encourage them to move to Colorado.
Me too. I don't really know them, but I encourage you as well.
He's a fucking solid dude.
Nice.
He's not a crazy party animal like a lot of our bros. He's actually more level-headed, down to earth, but he's like a good fucking person, a really good, kind person.
I say this in all seriousness. I would be excited to have another friend.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to add?
Nah, let's wrap it up. Let's actually finish early.
Yeah. You guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I had fun with this one just because we went kind of all over the but have a good week. We'll talk to you guys soon in a week. Bye-bye.